today. Nearly 150 people killed by Islamic terror at a college in Kenya. The Al-Shabaab militants stormed the school. They targeted Christian students for execution. Zuhdi Jasser is with us. He's the president of the American Economic Forum for Democracy. Zuhdi, welcome to the program. Do you think, as an American Muslim living and working in the United States, would you now be in favor of unleashing America's military muscle to go after the people who are doing this?
Well, certainly we need to do whatever is necessary. The Kenyan population today is furious that their government could not prevent this. So I'd like to hear from our commander-in-chief what can be done. The vacuums that are being created by our absence and by weak governments are allowing the systematic eradication of Christians throughout the Muslim world. And if we don't do anything about this, Stuart, I as a Muslim realize that once diversity and religious diversity is lost in the Middle East, so too will any hope for democracy. So whatever we need to do, we need to protect Christians, Jews, and other minorities.
Question. You as a practicing Muslim, a moderate man living in the United States, what would be the feeling among American Muslims if American troops went after these people and killed them?
Well, there's nothing more pro-Islamic and pro-Muslim than eradicating the planet of these types of savages, because they are also attacking Muslims. So I would hope any rational, moral, liberal would endorse the fact that we want to protect the minorities in the Middle East, especially on Good Friday, as we celebrate Easter, as Passover is coming for the Jewish community. We realize that we have to stand shoulder to shoulder with our Christian and Jewish friends across the world and not only defeat the militancy, but the verbiage and the ideology that creates these militants.
You are a Muslim, a practicing Muslim in the United States of America. We tell everybody every time you're on the show that you served in the American Navy for 11 years. What's it like being a man in your position living in America? I mean, you're part of a minority. Do you feel threatened in America?
Well, I mean, we get our threats, but the bottom line is the blessings that we have in this country, we need to give back, because American Muslims have a unique role in this laboratory of freedom to push back against the ideologies that are spreading across the world, from Saudi Wahhabism to the ISIS in Syria and Iraq and in Egypt with the Copts that are threatened. We have the solution of necessity for reform, and only Muslims can solve this. So, you know, yes, we have some pressure, but it's small compared to what's happening to the minorities in so many Muslim countries.
It seems like the problem is exploding. Almost every day there is a fresh outrage. It's not just Kenya yesterday. We've got 2 women in New York apparently thinking about planting pressure cooker bombs in New York City. It just seems like the problem is exploding exponentially and nothing's being done about it.
That's exactly what happens, Stuart, when you look at it like a lone wolf problem, or that it's somehow this whack-a-mole where we don't push Muslims to reform, to counter the ideologies, not only coming from these little groups like Shabaab or their al-Qaeda affiliates, but from governments like the Iranian regime, which is anti-Semitic and daily talks about throwing Israel into the sea and is very anti-Western. The Saudi government, which is our allies, push these ideas of radicalism and anti-Christian ideas, anti-Semitism every day, and yet we give them a pass. And that's the fuel that continues to create this whack-a-mole problem that we really don't have a strategy against in the global jihad.
One last one, Dr. Jasser. If I had to pick a leader around the world who is attempting to reform Islam, I would pick al-Sisi of Egypt. Would you?
His rhetoric, certainly in the last few months and last year, has been very reassuring, but I want to see that rhetoric exchange with actions on the ground which promote and defend liberal reformers that question the clerics, not just from the pulpit, that he actually defend that rhetoric with protection. I mean, we see the cops, the police that were arrested, some of the people that attacked the cops, they then released them. So there are things happening on the ground that don't make sense and jive up with his rhetoric, but yet he said the right things, but he's still a military dictator at the end of the day, and I hope he starts to promote real reforms of liberty and democracy.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much, sir.